threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers Podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
Philadelphia. Invisible people.
Cameron, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody listening. Mindless Banter number 56.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the Philadelphia Experiment's all about?
I thought I did.
I didn't
But-
quite understand it.
Yeah. In all honesty,
Yeah.
up to this point
Yeah.
of us breaking this down,
Mhm.
I honestly thought that this
It was a real
experiment
deal.
really happened.
Yeah.
In this weird
Maybe
stuff.
it did.
Yeah. Maybe
Cameron.
it didn't.
Okay.
But-
Yeah.
but
Today
I
we're
want-
talking about Philadelphia Experiment.
Yeah.
We're excited about it.
But first, it goes without saying.
It does.
Prepping requires forethought with regard to food, water supplies, power, and protection.
Mhm.
All areas of significant technical preparation. Self-reliant medical care is no exception. The Prepper's Medical Handbook by noted wilderness medicine expert and survivalist William W. Forgy, MD, provides the basis of prevention,
MD.
identification, long-term management, and survivable medical conditions, and tells you when to return to the grid and what to do if you can't.
Mm-hmm.
The organized structure of this book allows you to quickly locate what you're looking for while the information and techniques can be easily understood and performed with minimal medical training.
Mhm.
That's the key point right there. You don't need to be smarty, you can be dummy.
Yeah, exactly.
To purchase or learn more, visit preppersmedicalhandbook.com,
Mhm.
and it's also available through amazon.com.
Beautiful, Cameron.
It's an awesome
Get it.
book. Super easy to read.
Yep.
You can learn medicine in a day.
It doesn't take long.
No.
Doesn't take long.
Yeah.
You'll
It's
be
worth
doing
having.
surgery in no time.
Setting knees and
Yeah.
broken arms,
great.
elbows, all of it.
So, Cam, we've touched on this subject a few times. And
I
some
didn't
of
realize that
Yeah.
until you were mentioning the other project.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah.
I started reading stuff. I'm like, oh, wait, we talked about this dude somewhere else, and
It's
I
so
can't remember
weird.
where it was.
All
Yeah.
these, like,
There's so much weird crap.
conspiracies are, like,
New
always
World Order.
tied a little.
It's
Yeah.
all New World Order. It all
It's true.
comes together.
Makes sense.
But let's talk about what is like the very, very basics of the Philadelphia Experiment, also known as Project Rainbow,
Yeah.
in case you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
But now you do.
So, Philadelphia Experiment
Mhm.
is when, in 1943, the government,
It was when they invented cream cheese,
yeah,
right?
this is the best cream cheese you can buy. They
yeah.
have it whipped. They have it.
They do, yeah.
But yeah, so they were conducting some experiments. What people supposed were actually trying to make naval ships go invisible.
Yeah, disappear.
And so
yeah.
they conducted this one in particular,
Mhm.
and things went crazy. People were messed up, and
Yeah.
this has been hidden for years. And so I believe this. I thought they truly did try to make an invisible ship, and they
Yeah.
succeeded, but it just jacked people up.
Yeah.
So forever, I thought that was
Some
true.
of it, there's a little bit of truth in all of it, and that's where
They were doing testing.
they were doing some weird stuff. But let's kind of get into like
But
where.
a destroyer didn't disappear and come back.
No, it did not. Well, that's what the Navy says.
Yeah,
That
true.
it
That's
didn't.
true.
That's what the
If
Navy
you trust
says.
the government.
Yeah. So let's talk about like how did this thing even start? Because this has been a big thing for a long time. Like, you know, and like where did it come from?
Yeah.
It goes back to 1955 is where it sort of
Great
starts.
year.
Yeah, it was a great year. UFO researcher Morris K. Jessup. So have we talked about this guy before?
No, he is.
He's a
freak.
new guy.
This
This is a new dude.
it's funny to me, like the people like this guy.
Uh-huh.
They're so crazy
Mhm.
that they're like genius.
Yes.
Like
uh-huh.
this guy, the stuff he came up with, I was like,
It's bonkers, isn't
it's
it?
way advanced
Yeah.
mind stuff.
Yeah, so he's the author of a book called The Case for the UFO. So this book,
Oh, not this guy. In
You're talking
particular,
about the other
the
guy.
other guy.
yes, but,
But yeah.
this guy too, probably.
Probably a little bit.
The book talks about unidentified flying objects in the exotic means of propulsion that they might use. So it was kind of a speculative thing. You know, this is in the heyday of UFOs. So he did this, and this is how these UFOs may get around.
Yeah.
You know, there's the anti-gravity.
Everybody wants to know
Yeah.
how to get
They-
around quicker like an alien.
They're probably not using unleaded fuel.
GMC,
Mhm.
General Motors has been
Yeah.
working on it. Ford.
Exactly. So this guy, he just released this book, and then he receives 2 letters, and they were from a guy named Carlos Miguel Allende. But he also identified himself as Carl M. Allen in another correspondence. So
I love how it's so close to like.
yeah, I know. So this guy, I think he was a little bit. He had several personalities he was working with, which was nice. You know,
Yeah.
you
It's like
get
me
sick of
being
one.
Carmen Mandy. Carmen Handy.
Carmen
That's my name.
Carmen Handy. Yeah, exactly. So he claimed to have witnessed a secret World War II experiment at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. So this
Just
takes
getting
his
good.
shirt off. It starts unzipping. So
Hot in here.
in this experiment, Allende claimed the destroyer escort USS Eldridge, and now this is the ship in question, was rendered invisible, teleported to New York, teleported to another dimension where it encountered aliens. I could not find anything else
That's
on
amazing.
that. I couldn't.
That's
read
even better.
1,000 articles and I couldn't find anything else other than that sentence. But I know a place where we can find out more, and I'll talk
Wait
to
a
you about
minute.
that
We've
later.
got in the southwest direction. It looks like about 20. Oh, wait, that's an alien ship. Where are we?
Where the hell was this? New Jersey?
Did we just go through an alien warp hole? What's going on?
Warp holes. And they teleported through time, resulting in deaths of several sailors, some of whom were fused to the ship's hull. Cam's going to talk about that more.
Kind of. That's basically it.
Yeah, but he, Jessup is like, this dude is a crackpot. He's a psycho. So I'm just going to like not worry about these weird letters that are coming in. And this is a guy who wrote a book on UFOs. He's like, this guy's a crackpot. So in his letters, Allende criticized Jessup's naive understanding of unified field theory, which Allende claimed to have been taught by Albert Einstein himself.
He's like the modern troll. Like,
Yeah, he really
Or
is, yeah.
the older troll versions.
Like,
that
you
we
don't
have.
understand unified field theory like I do.
Yeah, I see you posted about aliens. You don't know.
Yeah, I talked to Albert Einstein. He taught it to me, which is hilarious because we'll talk about that later. But so
Yeah, the time
unified
frame
field
is-
theory, if you don't know what that is, it's never been proven by Einstein or anybody else thereafter. Basically, it attempts to merge the forces of gravity, electromagnetism into one fundamental field. In fact, Einstein tried to prove or find a proof for the unified field theory his whole life and was never able to. It's basically a theoretical
He's
equation.
smart.
He's the smartest dude ever, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a theoretical equation that
How
somehow.
do you just sit around and you're like, there's
Dude.
got to be ways with all these forces and
Yeah.
different like laws
Mhm.
to
That all comes
use
together.
them to like. It's just amazing that a mind.
Dude, Einstein
I'm
was
so
insane.
stupid.
I just finished a book on Einstein, and the entire time I'm like, holy crap, this dude was like on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I don't
like
get how their brains.
it's a whole weird thing. But he talked about the unified field theory a lot, and he wanted to figure it out, but he never was able to. Basically,
to have your mind like focused on that. I'm like,
I have a hard time just
am I
saying
gonna
it.
go to Burger King or Subway? Who's
know,
got the
that's-
best deal?
that's
That's where
his-
my mind's.
Exactly, and I have an app that tells me which is the best deal.
I still spend time
I don't
thinking
even have
about.
to figure it out. So the unified field theory is a theoretical equation that somehow explains how gravity, matter, and light work together. And so this guy was saying, this is how they did this experiment because Einstein had figured out the unified field theory. And so they got this equation, and they can do whatever the crap they want now. They can teleport a whole friggin' ship to wherever they want. And this is what happened. So Jessup, he tried his darndest to corroborate anything that this dude said, but ultimately said, this dude is nuts. I don't want to write letters to you anymore. We're done.
Pen pal. Ship is
yeah,
over.
yeah. Please cancel my subscription to your letters right now. Until he was contacted by 2 officers from the Navy's Office of Naval Research in 1957. So
the author was contacted by them.
yes, the author was.
So weird.
In early 57, Jessup was contacted by the Office of Naval Research in Washington, D.C., who had received a parcel containing a paperback copy of The Case for the UFO. So this is the book that Jessup had written, and this is why the crazy dude had sent him letters because of his book. In a manila envelope marked Happy Easter. The book had been extensively annotated in its margins, written with 3 different shades of pink ink, appearing to detail a correspondence among 3 individuals, only one of whom was given a name, which was Jemmy. The Office of Naval Research labeled the other 2 Mr. A and Mr. B. So basically, they get this book, and it is annotated supposedly by 3 different people. people in quotation marks.
Yeah.
The annotators refer to each other as gypsies and discuss two different types of people living in outer space. Their texts contain non-standard use of capitalization and punctuation and detailed a lengthy discussion of the merits of various elements of Jessup's assumptions in the book.
To come up with this.
Yeah. So the book, they're basically just it's aliens discussing
Yeah.
Jessup's book in the margins of the of the book, and they sent it. And for some reason, this guy sent it to the Office of Naval Research. There were oblique references to the Philadelphia experiment based on the handwriting style and subject matter. Jessup concluded a large part of the writing was Allende's, and others have the same conclusion that the three styles of annotations are from the same person using three different pens. Okay, so this is just this dude.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Really.
He's writing to himself in this book, and he decided that the Office of Naval Research needed to read it. But for unexplained reasons, the Office of Naval Research, they published 127 copies of this book.
Wow.
With the annotations in it. And you know what the crazy thing is? You can go buy those original books right now.
No joke.
There's one you can get on Amazon. It's $500.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like they're
really
like
would
collector's
like to
items.
see.
So yeah, like check that out. The Case for the UFO Unidentified Flying Objects Annotated Vero Edition, spiral bound. $500.
That's awesome.
So you can actually get it, you can buy it and read what the annotation said.
I'd love to see it.
I would too, man. I need to just go get it. But Jessup's story took a tragic turn. Injured in a car accident and split from his wife, he committed suicide in 1959. So that was like 2 years later. But Allende lived until 1994. Sporadically sending letters to anyone who would listen to his fantastical tale of the Philadelphia experiment.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. So large-scale popularization of the story came. So this is the people we have talked about before. In 1979, when the author Charles Berlitz, wasn't that a guy we talked about? He had written a best-selling book on the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Right? We
Yeah,
talked
we
about that in the
mentioned
Bermuda Triangle. And his co-author, ufologist.
It's all coming together
It's all
now.
coming together, yeah. William L. Moore published the Philadelphia experiment, Project Invisibility, which purported to be a factual account. The book expanded on stories of bizarre happenings, lost unified field theories by Albert Einstein, and government cover-ups, all based on the letters that, these same letters that he had sent, right? Also, in 1984, a time travel film called The Philadelphia Experiment was released, though it only loosely based on the prior accounts of the experiment. It served to dramatize the core elements of the original
I
story.
remember seeing it as a kid and being like
So I watched
completely confused by it.
I
Like,
watched
what is
parts of
going
it.
on?
I watched parts of it this week. It's actually on like YouTube, like some pirated version. Man, the graphics, the special effects in
I
this
gotta
thing.
go and check it out.
Holy
'cause
moly, it's amazing.
84 or 85?
84.
It's got to be really
So since
tech.
we're talking about it, I want to do a quick little.
Yeah,
let's listen to what the trailer sounded like.
One day, it's 1943. The next, it's 1984.
Somehow we got moved in time.
Good Lord, there it is. He has fallen through time, but time is running out.
Now, we can't stop it, but I believe that you can.
Michael Paré, Nancy Allen.
Good luck, sailor. Go!
Good luck, Sailor.
The Philadelphia Experiment, rated PG.
Hey, PG.
Yeah,
Watch with my kids.
I know. You might not want to because, well, there's one part.
The really nasty stuff
Yeah.
after the experiment happens is kind of, I remember that sticking
So
out in
I
my
only
mind.
watched like the first maybe half hour, but they end up in like Nevada or something in 1984. They
Mhm.
go to like this little cafe, and there's like a horror movie playing for some reason in the cafe, and the guy's watching like, what the crap? And it shows this girl with her top off, and he's like, whoa.
I love those old movies.
I know. And he's like freaking
We
out.
tried to watch, me and my wife tried to watch something like that
Uh-huh.
too from back then. It was like PG and
Yeah.
yeah, boob shot.
I know, like you
Normal.
could do that back in the 80s, which
Yeah.
was crazy. So anyways, that also helped perpetuate the Philadelphia experiment hoax.
Yeah.
A movie like that. And even though it was
It
kind
does. It solidifies
Yeah.
like when you visualize, and there's something in here I have about
Yeah.
that.
So here's where it gets crazy too. Much later, after the release of the '84 film, The Philadelphia Experiment, a man named Al Bielek, is that how you say it? Bielek came forward claiming to have personally taken part in the secret experiment, which he had been brainwashed to forget. This is the dude we talked about at some point, and I don't remember which episode it was. Maybe it was a time travel episode.
his name sounds super familiar. I can't
Only
remember.
after seeing the movie in 1988 did his repressed memories come flooding back. He believed I think, is also associated with the Montauk Project. Did we talk about that?
We did talk
the
about the
Montauk
Montauk
Project is
Project.
a conspiracy theory that alleges there were a series of secret United States government projects conducted at Camp Hero or Montauk Air Force Station in Montauk, New York, for the purpose of developing psychological warfare techniques and exotic research, including time travel, and the Philadelphia experiment was part of that. So
Yeah.
this is sort of how all of this came together and how it sort of became part of the popularized
Right.
conspiracy theories, and because everybody, you've heard the phrase the Philadelphia experiment,
Right.
even if you don't know what it is.
Yeah, no,
right?
it's pretty common.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's been 20 years since I've heard it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like anything new.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been floating around.
Yeah, it's been floating around. But Cam, I got to tell you about off the grid surplus. I mean,
do.
you guys,
You have to.
These guys know what they're doing when it comes to making really great clothing. You know, tactical and outdoor workwear, stuff that guys like us like to wear because we're
Girls
outside.
like you.
Girls like you, guys like us. It's just great stuff. It's tactical, but it doesn't look like you're the rent-a-cop kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
Doesn't
just got to check it
17
out.
Pockets on the outside.
Exactly.
Full-
There's pockets in all the right places. I'll tell you
They're
that right
hidden.
now.
They're
but
secret.
They're secret, but you just don't look like you're the
No,
cargo pant
not at all.
wearing crazy person. So you got to go check them out at offthegridsurplus.com. They've got some really great flannels right now that are perfect for winter. So go check them out. Offthegridsurplus.com. Use our code Casual Preppers. You're going to get 15% off your order, which is a great discount. So again, Off the Grid Surplus, OTG.
Yeah. I think a lot of times it's hard to find gear that, you want good gear, but you're like, I don't want it to look ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is the best stuff.
Yeah,
I wear it to dinner.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's a great blend between Gray Man and also tactical. It's like, you kind of look like you're tactical, but you're not to the point where
exactly
you think you've got a blade in every pocket,
Right.
So
And you could put a blade in every pocket
absolutely
and
could.
you wouldn't be able to see it.
Exactly.
So let's dive into what the
do it.
Philadelphia experiment was. So Kobe's kind of touched on pieces of it and like what was actually going on and what was the government trying to do here. So according to legend, October 28th, 1943, the USS Eldridge was a cannon-class destroyer escort and was conducting top-secret experiments designed to win command of the oceans against the Axis powers. The rumor was that the government was creating technology that would render naval ships invisible to enemy radar. And there in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, it was time to test it out. So the experiment was conducted by Dr. Franklin Reno. And was supposedly an application of Einstein's unified field theory, which is what Kobe was mentioning. Connection between gravity and electromagnetism, and super confusing. But the testing allegedly began in the summer of 43. So it's a little unclear. Like if you look into it, it talks about kind of the first conducted experiment was kind of semi-successful, but had similar issues. But I'll talk more about the more the more known or well-known one. So a few reports that when they first fired up these big generators on the ship, what had happened was once they fired them up, there was a green bluish glow.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the ship disappeared and it appeared in Norfolk, Virginia, 200 miles away.
Jeez.
And it sat there for a little bit of time. And they even say it passed through time. It was like 10 minutes. I don't know how they figured that out. But
Yeah, I know, huh?
But another ship that was there, the SS Andrew Furuseth, was there and it viewed all the ship's, seamen and all that stuff. and then it vanished and it reappeared back in Philadelphia where the generators were turned on. So there was this weird bluish green glow and it teleported and came back. And when it came back, there was a lot of disturbing things that had happened to the crew.
Whoops.
Mysterious illnesses developed in some of them.
Syphilis.
Their limbs were gonorrhea, chlamydia.
Yeah. What?
They were like fused to the deck, which is super weird, but that's probably the most standout thing that kind of helped fuel this. Like
The
the
fusing to the
Philadelphia
deck.
experiment shows like this guy like
Yeah.
welded into the deck, and he's like, and they're all like, some of them are all charred.
Yeah.
And then some of them developed these weird side effects. One of them being that they were like, they rematerialized inside out. Some of them didn't even rematerialize at
unfortunate.
all. And some of them were like starting to like come in and out of invisibility. Like they would be standing there and just like disappear and then come back. It's like a glitch. So
That's
that would be
awesome.
pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
The show, I think, I can't remember it very well, but I want to say he's starting to disappear, one of the sailors.
So I only watched like the first half hour, like I said. So the thing happens, and there's all this electronic crap going on, and you're right, there was like green glow, and like they were looking at their hands, and they were all like going in and out of this weird stuff, and they got taken forward in time or whatever. And now like they were like attracting electricity everywhere they went. Basically, they were driving in a car and like
that makes
zapped.
sense. That makes sense because there is some magnetic basis to this. So, but yeah, so essentially they're trying to make the ships go invisible, and where this just went crazy, and they teleported apparently to some alien world. Never heard that one.
Yeah, I didn't know.
But I'd seen some stuff, but there's no like detail on that.
No.
Nobody reported anything about that, or had enough interesting detail, I guess.
Yeah, it was just an alien world.
But the biggest standout thing is like all the effects it had on the sailors. And then apparently, the all trusting government had brainwashed all of these sailors or surviving crew members into forgetting about the experience. And so it just never happened.
Yeah.
But it started to like come up with different sailors starting to remember
Well, you release a
things.
movie, a major motion picture.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean-
why you don't go to the theater. You're just going to trigger some memories.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You
So,
never know.
in 1994, French-born astrophysicist and ufologist Jacques F. Vaillant published an article in the Journal of Scientific Exploration titled "Anatomy of a Hoax: The Philadelphia Experiment 50 Years Later." In writing, the article about the Philadelphia experiment, he asked readers to contact him if they had further information about the alleged event. That's when he received a letter from Edward Dudgeon, who served Dudgeon. Oh yeah, Dudgeon. That was an N. there.
Dungeon would be way cooler.
That'd be way cool.
Yeah.
Who served in the U.S. Navy from 42 to 45. So Dudgeon was an electrician, and he went into the details of what was actually being done or conducted during this whole time. So there were experiments being done to the ships, and it looked really funky because what they were trying to do essentially is basically it's called that degaussing, is to basically demagnify the ships. So there's mines and there's torpedoes that would basically be magnetically pulled into the hull of the ship by the U-boats. So the experiments that were extensive of like all these generators and these wires, like basically they're creating kind of like a Faraday cage around the ship, and they would turn them on and it would degauss these ships and basically make them
They're not magnetic
they
anymore.
weren't trying to make them invisible to radar or anything like that. They were just trying to make them not magnetic.
But they were probably using
they were
that
interested in
phrase-
it though.
They were probably using that phrase
Yeah.
invisible because it would basically make them invisible to these torpedoes.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly why it kind of
Yes.
strained that theory of they're making them invisible.
Yeah.
And that's what he believes, that this discussion, and being a seaman or whatever, you're going to hear these different, like talking about, what is this being conducted for? Blah, blah, blah. Visibility, blah, 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 blah. Visibility. What?
All her
We're going to be
visibility.
invisible. Mom and Dad, today we're going out to
Typewriter.
sea. Yeah. We're going to go invisible, I guess.
I hope I come back from this alien world we're going to.
So, yeah, a lot of the members of, the ship is not going to know all these little things being conducted. And you got all these wires and you got these generators and you hear invisible. And that's essentially where some of this was created.
I can imagine the naval people on the ship. Can you guys see us from the shore?
You hear them firing up. Can you see me?
Am I still here?
Hey! Flipping them off. Admiral can't see me.
I'm gonna batwing him.
I can see everything. Yeah, so anyways, he was talking about where this invisibility thing had kind of come about. It's not technically making it invisible, it's just making it the magnetic mines and torpedoes irrelevant with this new technology. And the other thing is that green glow that happened. I don't know, are you going to talk about this?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're
So
good.
the green glow that witnesses had discussed happening when the generators fired up and when this thing went invisible, they believe it was what's called St. Elmo's fire, which is kind of a confusing deal.
Because it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with it. But it's essentially like a plasma glow that happens with kind of like a lightning based. Here, I got a little thing here.
Have you ever seen the St. Elmo's fire like on airplanes when they get close to like a thunderstorm?
Yeah. So
basically, like there's like these looks like lightning on like the windshield. Basically,
Yeah.
it just shows up.
It's just super weird.
Yeah.
Like so here, this is a little bit more detailed. Is a persistent blue glow that occasionally appears near pointy objects during storms. The name is something of a misnomer, as the electric phenomena has more in common with lightning or the northern lights than it does with a flame. So it does cause this really weird bluish glow that occurs, and it's been going on for centuries.
Yeah.
So it got its modern name from Saint Erasmus, or Saint Elmo for short, who lived in the 3rd century. He gained fame as a patron saint of the sailors and intestinal distress. That's weird.
The saint of intestinal distress.
Patron saint of sailors and intestinal distress. That's weird.
Oh, that poor
I
guy.
never saw that.
Hey, I'm a saint now, guys. Guess what I'm saint of? Intestinal distress. Diarrhea. I'm the saint
Saint
of diarrhea.
Elmo's fluid.
Saint diarrhea.
And after he was reportedly killed by disemboweling. That's why.
Okay.
Emboweling.
That's a different
Sailors
type of
prayed
distress.
to him in the moments of distress and continued to interpret as the glow of St. Elmo's fire dancing and hissing atop their boats. But anyways, this glow had been reported centuries.
Yeah.
They just
It's not a new thing.
Yeah, they just didn't understand it until now that we're all so much smarter.
Yeah.
And TikTok and Instagram and all that.
Yeah.
And Facebook. So, anyways, they believe that glow occurred because of St. Elmo's fire. Also, the whole passage of the ship being seen in Philadelphia and Norfolk, they believe this is kind of a little confusing, but there's some inland canals that connect outside the ocean to transport ships that was used by the military at the time, but not really that well known. So they say that this ship could have been seen in 2 different locations. But there's some other points on that being seen that Kobe he'll mention. The other thing is in 99 a renew. Oh no, you're gonna talk about that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, some sailors basically didn't report any of this ever happening or having any remembrance of the ship being seen in the docks. And then the other thing is he talks about how these powerful uses of imagery is a way to kind of make these. So where the sailors had heard the ship being invisible, and then the use of these experiments. Basically, how this theory and this hoax kind of came about was that they'd used like these really vivid images of people being fused to the decks.
Yeah.
And that movie actually really kind of spurred people of that sticking in their minds that, they conducted this experiment, and movies are so believable.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so strong.
I thought it was a documentary when I was watching
image, that you just remember it. And that's how this hoax has kind of grown into what it is from Hollywood and these books and these weird occurrences, like you were saying, with the that guy that had obviously some split personality.
Yeah.
So anyways, truly there was experiments being done. It was nothing to do with making the ship disappear and teleport or go invisible. It was essentially just to demagnetize it to help prevent it from getting hit by.
It was like a weapons defense thing that they were trying to figure out. Right?
And so everybody being left in the dark and hearing words here and there and stuff just kind of created this big this big
Craziness,
conspiracy of what were they actually conducting during that time in 1943.
Yeah. So Cam's already talked about some of these maybe inconsistencies or alternate explanations of this. The first one being the degaussing, experiments. That's the biggest one. I think that's where most of this comes from, right? Because of these magnetic mines and these different.
It's weird you don't really hear much about degaussing.
No. Like,
I
is
don't
it
know if
even
it
a thing
didn't
anymore?
work very good. Or
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways,
maybe just figured to flip the magnetic so torpedoes just repel.
go the other way. Yeah, so that's one of the things that they say. This is probably where it started, and this is actually what was happening, and is what Cam said, the degaussing. But another possible origin of the stories about
Anytime there's weird experiments being conducted that people are left in the dark,
Yeah.
which happen all the time,
and
the government is obviously pretty hard to trust sometimes.
You think?
And so,
Yeah.
it's easy for this to just get out of control.
Yeah. So another possible origin of stories about levitation, teleportation, and effects on human crew might be attributed to experiments with the generating plant of the destroyer USS Timmerman.
No, I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, whereby a higher frequency generator produced corona discharges,
Ooh.
although none of the crew reported suffering effects from the experiment. So they just had a different type of generator on there, and it was
So like coronal mass ejection?
kind
just
of,
making
yeah. It was
little
like discharges.
pulses?
Yeah. And so
Nobody likes discharge.
I got some discharge, Doc. Nah, don't worry about it. Just so you know, more fire. You know what I mean?
Explain everything with that.
Yeah.
Well, considering you got this disease
Yeah.
and you got discharge, say no more fire. Every
Yep,
time.
it burns when I pee, Doc. Saying almost fire. Probably.
You heard about his disembowelment
Yeah.
and his intestinal. Anyways,
Probably.
here's his pill.
Yeah. Yeah. The USS Eldridge was not commissioned until August 27th, 1943, and it remained in port in New York City until September of 1943.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Dates don't match.
The October experiment allegedly took place while the ship was on its first shakedown cruise in the Bahamas. Although proponents of the story claim that the ship's logs must have been falsified, or else it'd still be classified. So they say, well, those logs were falsified because the government doesn't want us to know that they did this.
Did you read the logs?
I did not read the logs.
It's like pretty dry. Like, I don't
Is
know
it?
who would want to make that up.
Really?
It's like,
Yeah.
12:45 docked at, and then transported, moved, 400 yards. It's just like really basic. It's like, okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I guess some government guy could have created that to throw everybody off.
Yeah. The Office of Naval Research stated in 1996 the ONR has never conducted investigations on radar invisibility, either in 43 or at any other time, pointing out that the ONR was not established until 46. It denounces the accounts of the Philadelphia experiment as complete science fiction. This is what Cam was talking about, too.
ONR.
Yeah. A reunion of Navy veterans who had served aboard the USS Eldridge told a Philadelphia newspaper in 1999 that their ship had never made port in Philadelphia. Further evidence discounting the Philadelphia experiment timeline comes from the USS Eldridge Complete World War II Action Report, including the remarks section of the 43 deck log available on microfilm.
Microfilm.
The other thing is we still today don't have a unified field theory. Like, that's what they're saying, that this whole thing...
It's like if we actually got any information from an experiment,
we would have
some advancement on that.
Unless maybe Elon
Or
hasn't
there'd be
figured out.
people fused to ships still. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you would see a plane take off and then just zap out of the air.
Exactly.
Appear in Europe.
And that doesn't, it kind of makes it... If the government could teleport things, I guarantee you Amazon would have, like, prime teleportation shipping.
Yeah.
So it's like, boom, you're going to get your socks in like 2 seconds. So it's pretty...
Well, even if that even worked, even the slightest bit, even at the cost of the sailors being fused to it, they would keep... They would do it over and over.
Oh, yeah, there'd be 150 experiments that would have happened between then and now, and there would be more...
tons of casualties that they wouldn't...
maybe.
St. Elmo's fire.
Maybe.
St.
Elmo's fire 100%. But
or maybe they perfected it and we just didn't know about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe it's possible.
And during all these wars that we've, since then, the Vietnam and all that, we just didn't want to use it to throw people off.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
We
needed just normal war, and if it gets real bad, we're going to use
Then we'll go with the teleportation stuff. Or maybe it's just those aliens in between that are just too pesky. They're a pain in the butt.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Maybe when they go through the alien warp hole, the
Yeah.
alien's like, wait, it's a toll booth. Too expensive.
Too expensive.
We don't have enough gold
How
or
much
silver.
Bitcoin you got?
It's like a Tolberth warp hole.
Yeah.
I ain't letting you through.
I got a fast pass. Got it. We're good to go.
We need a bunch of meat.
Meat.
We want, yeah.
That's what the aliens
The
want. is
aliens
meat.
want steak.
We don't got that here. Bring me a T-bone.
But anyway.
So yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
the Philadelphia experiment, man.
So if you think that's crazy, though,
Yeah.
before we end,
Okay.
our modern world's just plain crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even crazier is that your laptop and your phone, they're never
Mm-hmm.
really off when you think they're off.
Yeah.
Put them in airplane mode, you're just setting yourself up.
Put them in teleportation mode.
Yeah. And everything from your passport to your credit cards to your photos, everything is it is accessible via radio frequency identification, which is on all this. All of it contains valuable private information that can be and will be exploited in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
This is where Silent Pocket comes in. They offer a range of products that you already use, like wallets and bags and travel gear and laptop sleeves and key cases. All of it has the protection of not only Faraday and EMP protection, has a Faraday technology, but it will keep you invisible from people hacking, stealing.
I think that maybe they've figured out the
Transmitting.
unified field theory.
Probably.
That's how they've got this
Their
technology.
stuff looks like it could.
It does, yeah.
Super sleek.
Yeah.
Very gray man.
Guarantee you Albert Einstein would have some of their stuff.
Oh, yeah, he would.
He probably does.
He probably does.
He's probably buried in
That
like
was his last work and project.
The silent pocket.
But basically, you have
Yeah.
protection from EMPs, CMEs, and it's a cloth-like Faraday cage. How
St. Elmo's
freaking
fire.
cool is that?
St. Elmo's fire protection, probably.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So go to silent-pocket.com/discount. Use Casual Preppers, 10% off from your order.
Beautiful.
I'm telling you, they got everything.
They do.
And it really is pretty.
It really is. Guys, we have the latest Battle Box, Mission 71. We're excited about it, and we're going to tell you about it right now.
71?
Yeah, it's a lot of missions, man. We have been with Battle Box since Mission 9, I think.
That's true. That's great.
Think about that. How many missions that we have gotten? Whoo! I tell you what. Battle Box. Basic
that's
box.
crazy.
I know.
They were little babies.
Yeah, little tiny baby, little prepper babies.
Little baby subscription boxes.
Yeah. The basic box. The first item, the Ready Hour 72-hour long-term shelf life meal kit. You can't beat getting
Food
in these
Look,
boxes.
It's done.
It's yeah, you just throw that
Throw
in your
it-
closet. Throw that in your bug out bag.
Is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, it's worth its weight in
food.
Yeah, and pasta.
In calories.
And then you've got the Spartan Fire multi-use EDC tinder. This is so cool. Like it's almost like paper. It doesn't take up any space. You put that in your wallet. Put that in your silent
You
pocket.
draw on it and then burn it.
Yeah, exactly. So
that is pretty cool. How
pretty
thin,
cool.
useful. I want to try it. I'm gonna try it.
And then you got the Yuko Switch Spork 2-piece utensil set.
Switch.
Switch.
This is the switch. Switch.
Switch. So that's kind of a cool little deal. You
I
got
always like these little things.
I do too.
Half the time I use them at work, so
Yeah,
that
do
you
you?
don't have to find another fork
Yeah.
and spoon and knife when you.
I like that.
Around.
Then you got the Red-Eyed Hog seasoning. This is perfect for these freeze-dried meals that are probably not going to taste great, and these will give it some flavor. You know what I
What's it
mean?
made of salt, spices, onion powder,
Yeah.
garlic powder, and gunpowder.
Designed by an award-winning barbecue pitmaster. He won awards.
Oh, jeez. Cameron Hardy.
Cameron Hardy.
PAC.
Yeah.
Pitmaster.
Pitmaster, award-winning pitmaster. And then you got the advanced box, the Gerber Freescape. Now, this is kind of a cool little camp saw that breaks down. I was calling it a transformer earlier because it looks like it could be an Autobot or
Looks like
something.
a power pole. Looks like a,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You could be a weapon like
It
that.
reminds me a lot of the Zippo, like 4-in-1
Yeah, kind of.
bow saw thing.
But it's just a one. But it just breaks down, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so that's the Gerber Freescape. Pretty cool little breakdown bow saw.
Cool.
And then you get to the Pro Box and you got the Spot Tracker Gen 4 satellite GPS messenger, you guys. And with that, you get a 6-month free service with our BattleBox code.
That's pretty
So that's a $150 value right
So is the
there.
code in there?
Yeah, there's a.
Okay, don't lose that.
Don't lose that, but I think it's just BattleBox is the code.
So as soon as stuff starts to go down, hurry and activate.
Yeah, make sure you still got some internet.
Yeah.
Bookmark it on Google and get ready. So you got to get
Go
that.
through your plan A. Number 1, activate.
Yeah.
Spot Gen 4,
Uh-huh.
6-month trial.
Maybe you could do like a Google things say activate.
Hey, Google, activate
yeah,
Spot Gen 4.
whatever. Then you get to the Pro Plus, the knife of the month. You guys, they got an Essie, the Essie Azula with the micarta scale set.
Ooh.
Ooh, micarta.
Micarta.
Micarta. So
Essie.
that's Mission 71. They knocked it out of the park. They did a good job. Thank you, BattleBox. Use our code Casual Preppers. Like we said, these sponsors, they make this thing go.
They really do.
You would have no idea about the Philadelphia experiment if it wasn't for BattleBox, if it wasn't for Silent Pocket, if it wasn't for Off the Grid Surplus.
True.
You know, you gotta go get them if you want to keep getting your ear holes filled with good stuff.
So help them, help us. Help them,
me
help us.
Help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Cameron, before we head off and sign off?
Heck no.
St. Elmo's
That's
Fire.
it. Yeah.
All right. Stay
Go
survived.
look that up.